rolled out. And remember, His Excellency in his speech mentioned much regarding mother ministries of these sectors coming up with proper guidelines to regulate the reopening in various sectors.
But of course, before that, Mollen will be also heating up to tell us about what's happening in nature, climate and environment, and of course on the road. But for nature, what do we expect, Mollen?
Well, we do take a look into some of the extreme weather events that we have been battling over the years and what 2022 might be bringing. Now, of course, we do expect more rise in temperatures, but we want to look at specifics, the numbers that we could be looking at. That is, if we do not continue with our target of keeping temperatures to well below 1.5 degrees Celsius.
Okay, and that is what you expect. Be with us, stay tuned, stay glued to your TV. But for now, let's take you through what's been trending in the news.
And we'll start with the Prime Minister of Uganda, that is Robina Nabbanja, with her message to the people of Kakumiro district as the year begins. And that is the Prime Minister Robina Nabbanja has challenged families to plan and set targets in the new year for meaningful growth of the country. Nabbanja was addressing Christians in Kakumiro district, including Bukumi and Bujojo Catholic churches. Prime Minister Robina Nabbanja said families need to evaluate their efforts aimed at adding value to their households. Nabbanja said government is working towards reducing poverty rates at household levels through programs like the parish development model. Nabbanja also wants Ugandans to take advantage of the open economy to increase their income while also take care of themselves against Omicron COVID-19 variant. Sister Josephine Namukwaya, a Dominican from Namugongo, thanked President Museveni for entrusting Nabbanja with the Prime Ministership duty. The residents of Bukojo in Kikubijo sub-county welcomed the message from the Prime Minister, saying that this is the way to go.
Where Christians have been challenged to embrace transparency in families for peaceful coexistence amongst married couples. Now, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Right Reverend Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, emphasized the call for responsibility for both the wife and husband in families. Now, he was officiating at a wedding of George Michael Mukula, the son to Captain Mike Mukula, at All Saints Cathedral in Kampala, an event graced by the Vice President of Uganda, Jessica Alupo, on behalf of President Yoweri Museveni. Now, also congregants who walked in one by one were witnesses to another milestone in the life of George Michael Mukula, the son of an NRM's vice chairperson for Eastern Uganda, Captain Mike Mukula, where he officially confirmed his love for Krista Irakoze, a Burundian national. Now, with the marriage knocking on the door, it was time for Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, His Grace Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, to do what he does best. Now, it did not stop at this, as marriage requires maintenance, something His Grace emphasized. Now, he called for transparency in all aspects for a successful marriage and stable family. To represent President Museveni at the event was Vice President Alupo Jessica, and this was the message.
Well, away from the joyous moments, we now move to issues of insecurity, that is in Mpigi district, where all is not well with the Muduma sub-county in Mpigi district following the recent hacking of an elderly couple by Awan Adibayo and others still at large. Muzei Anthony Ranga and his wife were hacked with pangas for no clear reason and are now in critical condition. Muzei Anthony Ranga of 70 years and his wife Namugisha Myron of Murumbe Narugombo village in Muduma sub-county in Mpigi district are lucky to be alive by now. This is after they were hacked by a group of people that include one Adebayo and are now still at large. Muzei Ranga said that the assassins have since disappeared, but police and the area leaders are searching for them. He said this has put him under more fear in case the murderers reappear again. A councillor in the area, Mugweri Ismail, cautioned those involved in destabilizing the community that the long arm of the law will catch up with them sooner than later. Area residents condemned this act of violence and hope that the culprits will be apprehended. The officer in charge of Jew Core Police Station in Mpigi, Olivia Asio, encouraged communities to remain vigilant and report any suspicious person that might want to cause mayhem in the community.
Well, further we look at Isinjiro, where district leaders and stakeholders have appealed to government to gazette part of Nachivale refugee resettlement land for an industrial park. Now, leaders say that they cannot sit back and wait for their people to continue choking on poverty as a result of them selling their agricultural products in raw form, yet they can add value on them through investors. And Nachivale refugee camp is one of the oldest settlements in Uganda, located in Isinjiro district. And Nachivale refugee settlement sits on 71 square miles with a total of 119,587 refugees from over 12 countries. Now, these refugees are concentrated in areas commonly known as camps that include Base Camp, Juri and Lubondo, which have left majority of their land vacant. Now, to mitigate this challenge, leaders and stakeholders of the Isinjiro have requested government to allocate this vacant land for the development of industrial parks. Now, district leadership recently wrote to the Prime Minister Robin Anabanja requesting government to establish the part of Nachivale refugee resettlement land for establishment of processing and manufacturing factories, but they have not yet received a response. Now, upon securing the land, leaders also tasked government to go ahead and get them investors who will set up these factories. Now, besides adding value on matoke, some of the locals are hopeful that their other products, including milk, beef and pork, will also be exported on top of creating jobs for the residents. We move on to international stories.
Now, in our international stories, our focus will be in Africa majorly, and of course looking at our first story in South Africa, where we see the parliament building badly damaged in large fires. Now, a man has been arrested after a large fire severely damaged the House of Parliament in South Africa, city of Cape Town. A police spokesperson said the man was facing charges of arson, housebreaking and theft would appear in court on Tuesday. Now, firefighters have been working for hours to extinguish the blaze. President Cyril Ramaphosa called it a terrible and devastating event as he vowed Parliament's work would continue. Footage from the scene of this Sunday showed a plume of black smoke filling the sky with huge flames coming out of the roof of the building. Now, officials said the fire started on the third floor. Offices quickly spread to the National Assembly, Parliament lower house chambers, and reports from BBC's Nsoma Seko in Cape Town also say that the Parliament is not currently in session because of the holidays and no injuries were reported. Brigadier Mbambo also said the suspect is also expected to be charged under the National Key Points Act. Now, still in Africa, Sudan coup, where we see the Prime Minister Abdullah Hamduk resigns after mass protests. Now, Sudan's Prime Minister Abdullah Hamduk has announced his resignation just weeks after he was reinstated in the controversial deal with the military. The army seized power in October and put Mr. Hamduk under house arrest, but he was reinstated following a power-sharing deal with the coup's leader. Protesters also rejected the deal, demanding the entirely civilian political rule. Now, his resignation follows another day of protests where medics said at least 2 were killed, and in televised address, Mr. Hamduk said Sudan was at a dangerous turning point that threatens its whole survival. Now, still in Africa, South Africa holds state funeral for Archbishop Desmond Tutu. The funeral mass for South African anti-apartheid campaigners Archbishop Desmond Tutu has taken place at the Anglican Cathedral in Cape Town. Tutu, a Nobel Peace Prize winner who helped end the racist regime in South Africa, died last Sunday, aged 90. Now, in his eulogy, President Cyril Ramaphosa described Tutu as the spiritual father of our new nation. Tutu has also insisted there should be no lavish spending on the funeral. He wanted the cheapest available coffin. Family, friends, clergy and politicians were among those who gathered at St. George Cathedral for Saturday's service, which had limited number because of the coronavirus restrictions. Now, Tutu's widow, Namolia Lea, sat in a wheelchair at the front of the congregation wearing a purple shawl, the color of her late husband's clerical robes.
Look at Kirabo wildfires. Now, 2 people are missing after devastating blazes followed by heavy snow. Now, nearly 1,000 homes were destroyed and hundreds damaged as the blazes hit 2 towns in Boulder County in the U.S. states. Now, for those who escaped the flames, heavy snowfall has compounded the misery. The U.S. President Joe Biden has declared a scene of a national disaster, freeing up federal funds to assist the affected people and businesses in recovery efforts. Now, 3 people were initially reported missing, but 1 has been accounted for in Boulder County. Sheriff Joe Pell also reported on Sunday. Now, the cause of the fire is still under investigation, but Mr. Pell said that authorities were pursuing a number of tips and had executed a search warrant at one particular location without providing further details. Now, also, the Colorado Governor Jared Polis visited the damaged neighborhoods.
Activity, clearly the year has been started in a bit sadness for some particular areas in the world where we see massive fires both in the USA and of course back in Africa, in South Africa, where we saw the August House being on blaze, and that's very sad, but we hope and pray. But of course, on top of that, we thank God no life at least was registered lost in all these particular scourges. But we pray and hold tight onto the Lord because we know all this shall come to pass. Now, of course, today also we want to share with you a poll question. We want you to share with us your true sense, your thoughts about the reopening. Like, what do you expect? What can be done ahead of the reopening? And our poll question is, how can the public embrace full reopening of the economy amidst the COVID-19? How can the public embrace full reopening of the economy amidst COVID-19? Remember, His Excellency came out to say that the most major parts of the economy shall be open. So how can we embrace this? Nevertheless, keeping in mind that COVID-19 is still with us. Because remember, on top of that, there are fears that if we reach a particular percentage, we may be getting back to lockdown. How do we embrace the reopening amidst COVID-19? But of course, also on top of this, talking about embracing the reopening, Mr. Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono, Uncle Bob, is also back in action.
Well, I can't tire or forget to remind you that you need to boost your immune system. And how do you better do that? By ensuring you use Hallelujah Reflexology products, that is Hallelujah Ginger Tea and Hallelujah Turmeric Drink. These will boost your immune system because what is hard to come by, have it condensed together and consume it, has been packaged in this beautiful bottle. So wherever you are, just 1,500, get any of the products, either turmeric drink or ginger tea drink, and I can assure you your body will have the capacity to fight off a number of diseases.
Speaking about fighting off, also right now we want to share with you a song for the day, and the expectation is that this song will kickstart your day and of course will put you in high spirits to go and win today. Let's take a break, have our song for the day. When we come back, myself and the team will be looking at our newsreel. Good morning.
In Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.
Or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
The program lineup on UBC.
You could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Co Uganda, Office of the President.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Raising Voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to help my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising Voices.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome to the hour of that is 7 and exactly 8 minutes past the top of the hour. It is time we look at our newsreel. Now, the year 2022 was awaited for by many Ugandans from October, when the president addressed the nation and clearly said that come 2022, he said, come next year, I'll open the economy. And now it is the time, today the 3rd. On the 31st evening, the president addressed the nation and came clear on reopening of the economy, opening all sectors, and I think one would say except that is the border industry, where curfew remains at 7. Otherwise, most of the sectors, it is now clear that they are going to reopen. It's just a matter of time. However, emphasizing that we must be very careful, because if we reach 50% occupancy of our intensive care unit and also high dependence unit, then you have no option but to partially lock down some of these sectors. So we are looking at the opening of the economy and its impact at such a time. Schools, it is now clear, come the 10th, they will be opened. Bars, happening places around the 24th, they're also expected to reopen. But remember, he said, line ministries will come out with detailed guidelines on how the economy is going to be reopened and ensure how we enforce the standard operating procedures. I, Felix and Mollen, this is what we are going to be discussing. Felix, first and foremost, while listening to this address, it was very clear that many of the what Ugandans expected was achieved. But we want to look at safe reopening to begin with, because we know His Excellency said as of 21st December, that is about 11 point, mentioning figures, 0.4 people had been vaccinated. Those that were vaccinated fully were 3.8 Ugandans have got both the first and second dose. Let's look at safe reopening at such a time.
Well, having lived with COVID-19 for probably now about 2 years, there is much that has been learned, majorly by government entities and also individuals. You do also take cognizance of the fact that it is not as we started, and I think that the president also alluded to that in his own statements, that we are not where we were. There was a time in this country when there was no hope, because we didn't have an idea on what we were dealing with, you know, the inception of this whole pandemic. And there came a time when we realized that they had developed vaccination, but we didn't have, approach even to know how to get it. I remember one time when the minister came out to say that even if we had the money, we have nowhere to buy the vaccine. But sooner, the setup of the COVAX facility, which has caused much aid to many African countries, and many, of course, many of them in Asia, has been a big deal. Now, one would say this is not the best time to reopen the economy. I would subscribe to that school of thought, and I will tell you why. When you open this particular economy, the Ugandan economy for that matter, you were at the point when you are faced with a very big fear. It may not make sense. In as much as people would want it so much, it's everyone's desire. But if you want to evaluate it to the latter, it may not make sense. For the last 4 or 5 months, for the last about 4 months, Uganda has been free of COVID. 0 deaths, 0 cases, 0
positivity ratio. Rate was going at 0.1 at
That's
one
what
point.
I'm saying. And that was the best time to open the economy. Actually, this is a good time to close. The reverse is the truth. For the last about 4 months, we have not been having these cases. That would have been the best time. And now would be a good time to partially close, in my opinion. I know that we have had challenges as a country in terms of how broken our economy has become, in terms of what we can sell, what we can produce, or what we can buy. We have increased dependency ratio between the time, this COVID time. you notice that now the country is more dependent. That's why you see the government under the stewardship of the president is trying as much as possible to create some innovations, to reduce on how much we spend giving out. Like when they talk about getting a vaccine locally made, he talks about carrying out the likes of Professor Ogwang, carrying out clinical trials. All these things are trying to bring down our expense because it has hiked up. And that has been an indicator of how much we have not done enough in terms of our own building capacity. So the opening up, if you want to ask me generally, Robert, it is badly needed, yet not the best option right now. Because, and that's why the president even put a tie to it, that once we hit this particular mark, he's aware of what's happening. But he made a promise, and I think that's where I will fault him with due respect. There are promises you don't make. Because why? You can't make a promise of something you're not in control of. I can't wake up one day and tell Mollen, no, Robert will marry you. What control do I have over that? Even if Robert told me he's going to marry Mollen, I can't say that to her because I don't have control
over that.
And that has been the evidence before our eyes. His Excellency came out and made promise. And just like for some of us who love to read the Word of God, the Bible, we know that, and that's why God never talked a lot. Because every time he talked, he created a covenant
with his people.
You get it? And I remember, and I saw the president on, was it Friday? Between a hard place and a rock because of the statements. He wouldn't go back on his word. He's a leader. People, everyone had. You see, what people like the president say almost becomes law.
Because when he said we shall reopen the economy, whether we are vaccinated or not, we shall fully open the economy. Now, let me bring in Mollen at this particular time. Mollen, when you look at the population of Uganda, His Excellency in his speech said we are targeting about, that is at least 22 million Ugandans to get vaccinated. That is the population above 18, away from the other priority group that was of 4.8. But now we have at least administered, as of by 31st, that is 11.4 million doses, and only 3.8 people are fully vaccinated as of 31st when he was giving his speech. And when you look at this, if we are to go into some of the categories you mentioned, you'll find that the president makes it mandatory and clear, for example, that if you're to use public transport, you must be fully vaccinated. Students above the age of 18 must be vaccinated. 10th is not very far to achieve that. When we look at the way business is being conducted, look at these arcades, look at the markets, and with Omicron, like Felix said, now on average register above 1,000 cases. Previously we had 60, 70. How safe is this reopening?
Well, Robert, first of all, I want to think that when the president did talk about those numbers, he was also keen on noting how much we have achieved in terms of vaccination. Well, if you talk about, a target of 22 million people and, 4.8 million being within the vulnerable group, I think it goes to show how much the target is increasing towards people. But also not to water down the fact that I think this is a good idea to reopen, and I want to differ from what Felix is saying. There is no better time to open the economy. If you look at the fight that Uganda has put across, the president did also compare us with some of the countries that have had this fight as well. Looking at the number of deaths that they have registered. You look at countries like the USA, where they have registered over 800,000 deaths. And what we have in Uganda, just and as he was saying, on Friday, he mentioned 3,000 deaths that we have in Uganda. But not to say that we jubilate in that number, but at least our efforts have paid off. And yes, right now we know better. When we talk about, reopening, for example, arcades that you mentioned, we open schools, it's just a week away. And I couldn't agree that this is the best time, because guess what? We have now learned better. We know how to go about the SOPs. And I know that most of the schools are already prepared. We were right here saying, you know, maybe people are not ready, but they are. Schools are already, you know, out there looking for students, even to that extent. They are ready. And if we were to wait till, you know, Omicron has, you know, decreased, we don't know what other variant will come across. So we can't just, you know, sit back and be like, okay, maybe this is not the best time. If you look at countries that have battled COVID-19 to a lot of extent, they have opened up. They have opened up their economy.
When we look at, for example, the entire Europe, you see that many of these countries now are coming up with measures that are restricting. Go to a country like France, as they were entering the new year and celebrating the new year, you'll find that some of the sectors that were opened, they are reinstalling some of these measures that you're talking about.
Yeah, but then Robert, comparing that, if you look at countries in the developed nations, these are countries that have had it easy. They have had it easy. But you compare us to such countries. Now look at the fact that he has opened up the transport sector. We have taxi operators. And you know, the notion is that have the travelers vaccinated, the crew vaccinated, but are we sure this is going to work? Because guess what? People are going to be relaxed. I mean, taxis are also after making money. Now they're open to full capacity. They are going to squeeze even 4 people. Because now that is their full capacity. Okay, even if they were to squeeze the 3 people that, you know, previously they were carrying. Now, who is going to mind if the passenger is not vaccinated? They want to make money. So I think some of these measures are not really realistic. But again, I do want to think that this is up to
the times when we had border registering passengers. Remember that time?
Yeah, when we had to, you write
Felix,
your name.
Did it ever happen anywhere?
It didn't. I can tell you it didn't.
I think some people tried.
Border, did you go? Anyway, you don't use them, but I don't know, maybe the audience could tell us if there's any border person that asked for your details, because by then you were tracking cases. Arcades, I don't know, Mollen, did you go to any arcade where they had to register and get your details?
I never had to register anywhere. I'm telling you, some of the things are not realistic. Maybe what they tried actually for arcades, they did have, you know, those washing points. You do wash your hands. If you're not washing your hands, they have sanitizer. But that was, you know, at the very start of COVID-19, when it was rampant. But right now, walk into Kampala and see how many are doing that. So I think maybe more of the emphasis should have been on, you know, how are we going to make sure that personally we protect ourselves, because it won't be long before we hit the 50%, you know, in
intensive care units and the high dependence units.
So if we want to avoid that and go back to what seems to be close to normal for us, we need to put in the effort as Ugandans. We cannot, you know, this is not on a political agenda. It's not something political. We have to put in the effort as Ugandans to see our economy open up. So by embracing this, that means that we are also looking into, you know, declining the possibilities of being in a lockdown again.
Felix, let's look at the key word here, which is vaccination. How best can we promote vaccination? Because we know that many, maybe more variants will come up. We know that vaccination will save us, that is severe illness, hospitalization and death. So we may not get to the 50% that we are worried about. But how best can we promote this? 11.4 million Ugandans that have so far been vaccinated as of 31st. When you're looking at 22 million Ugandans, seemingly may not be a good number. And why only have, that is about 3.8. And now the president talked about bringing in booster doses. So how best do we ensure that all Ugandans, or that are supposed to be vaccinated by the age above 18, get vaccinated? How do we expedite this? Because to me it seems the only safeguard that we can have.
I think the first thing that our government has done entirely in its right confines is the resolution that was passed by the cabinet of limited access to particular persons that haven't been vaccinated. I think that's a good start. As we start there, we shall see more activeness from different sectors through that kind of guidance or standing in place. But also, we must formulate a particular policy about vaccination. We mustn't fear to touch the nobilities of politicking, religion, culture, just to mention but a few. But if we find a particular standard and policy that will directly help us deal with the vaccination. Third, as the reopening of schools commences, how do we use that avenue? Because we are in a situation where we need to use everything at our disposal. Let me tell you, as a matter of fact, we are still grappling around about vaccination. People are talking about booster doses. You get the point? First, we are still grappling. People are discussing booster doses. When will we get there? So let's enhance the vaccination. This is the only scapegoat, only against COVID-19, and I'll be honest with you, it's the only. So for me, vaccination up till today should be an effort that we take on together, both the private institutions and as government. I think we need to have more engagement from the Ministry of Health with the private institutions or installations, and also engage government entirely. Remember, we have been talking about between you and me, government workers. Those are some of the things that we suggest.
Well, very interestingly,
let's make relevant partnerships, but also government should take a forefront seat in terms of the vaccination, and by doing so, through vaccinating all government employees who are eligible.
Well, I love what Felix talked about, the passing that is very clear. Government may not coerce you. It is your right not to be vaccinated. However, you're mandated, if you're to access certain places, to be vaccinated. So there, maybe you'll end up finding your own world, because if public places, if, for example, those that are teaching profession, if you're not willing to get vaccinated, then you have to quit the profession. But no one is forcing you, is going to arrest you because you're not vaccinated. So it all comes back to you. Do not cheat yourself. To me, I see this as cheating yourself. Do not cheat yourself. Felix has alluded to it, and all experts have guaranteed us that's only by vaccination that will fight severe illness, hospitalization, and death as a result of COVID-19. We don't want our joy to be short-lived, because indeed, if you have these hospitalizations, it is very clear there will be no option but to see us into another partial lockdown, much as we expect now that many of these sectors are going to be reopened. Mollen, let's look at another very interesting sector. That is the entertainment sector, the bars as well. Where now here, it is very clear that these have followed for the bars, for this sector, from the 19th of March. They have been locked. That was 2020.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things here is how best do we have the SOPs implemented in such areas? Because this is where we seemingly see that much as schools you can regulate, partly you can't. Students easily adopt. Have a mask, they will have it. Do this, they will abide by. But this is one of the sectors. His Excellency has already said, at one time he said these are dangerous to themselves, I don't want to mention, and to those around them. So, yet, this is one of the areas where we assume that we can have much of this.
Well, he did mention that, saying that drunkards are a danger to themselves. And I think that really sits deep in those who are the drunkards. But we also look at the fact that when we talk about entertainment sector, you're not looking at only the bars, because he did also say to open cinema halls. There are people who really take, going to cinema as part of their entertainment, part of, even for families. So I think these are some of the places that we will see mostly adhering to these SOPs, because guess what, even before you get the tickets to go to cinema, for those who have been there, at least there is that kind of cordial cooperation between the people giving out the tickets. So I think that maybe that might go easy when it comes to that. But also you look at sectors like the sports, and yesterday I was seeing a story on UBC News somewhere in Western Uganda where they had organized a sports event, and there was a bull to be slaughtered. So people were asked to come in with their vaccination cards, and also, you have to prove that you were vaccinated. And they were very strict. For those who didn't have proof that they were vaccinated, they were kicked out. So they couldn't access playgrounds. So I know a lot of sports fans that are out there and hungry to get into, the sports grounds. And those are excited enough to make sure that you can actually get that vaccination and be able to access the playgrounds. So I think it's no longer a matter of whether you can afford this, whether it's mandatory or not. It's just a matter of you accessing that one thing that you've wanted to do.
So yes, if you have been a sports fan and you want to be there, then you cannot go around this. It doesn't have to be mandatory for you to get vaccinated. You need to get there, get the vaccine. Now you look at people like, musicians have been asking for concerts and all this, and he has already said, at the time of 2 weeks after schools have reopened, they will be opened at the same time as, all these recreation centers. But then it also comes back to your love for the music. You want to get to this concert, but you know that the only way you get there is proof that you're vaccinated and observing all these SOPs. So I think it is still going to depend on the discipline of the people who have been asking for this to be opened up. So once you're disciplined and you're able to do what government is advised, then you get there.
Felix, in 1 minute, as we wind up the reopening by His Excellency, your final opinion to this?
Well, I must say that I am moved by the courage of the president. I know that his team and himself have a well-thought plan as we reopen in terms of all sectors. We badly needed to get back to the road, up and running in terms of what we can do socio-economically, but keeping in mind with the right conscience the times that we are dealing with a very lethal pandemic, I must add, but also it is something we have been at before. No wonder when you were starting here, I highlighted some of the challenges that have attacked the country. Talked about the
floating islands,
the high level,
the killings,
the ADF and what. The solidarity, the courage, the spirit that we have used to overcome is the same spirit we should use to survive this particular time. Let's not clutter our minds and our thoughts and our uprightness with the excitement of reopening, because it is not the end in its own self. Let's work towards growing our country with clear mind that we also have to protect our people.
Very well said, Felix. Do not cheat yourself. Go get that vaccine. It is a time we are moving on thorny grounds. Omicron is here, and of course other variants still that were in this country still remain. So better be safe, get that vaccination. Let's once again remind you of our poll question this morning that is coming up on your screen. How can the public embrace full reopening of the economy amidst COVID-19? How can the public embrace full reopening of the economy amidst COVID-19? Now, of course, share with us on Twitter, #UBCGMU. And for those of you who use WhatsApp, 0709 60 25 92. Well, when we return, we'll be looking at what is trending in the print media. Keep it with us as we keep you informed when you're kickstarting your day. Good morning. We'll return shortly.
Welcome to Elmo's World News. Reporter Elmo is here with some breaking news. All around the world, everyone is doing the freeze dance. Here's how to play. When the music starts, move your body. When the music stops, you freeze. Ready? Let's dance. Elmo's friend loves to move. Look at him go. Let's dance too. Dance, dance, dance until the music stops and we all freeze. She looks like she's having fun. Look at her feet. That's some fancy footwork. Let's join in. And freeze. Wow! Elmo's friend is learning a special dance. Let's try it with him. We're dancing. Freeze. Hello. Great job, everybody. Dancing and moving your body is a great way to stay healthy and have fun.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Tulantende ku program obulamu
was brought to you by
Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
everywhere you go. MTN.
I'm growing up, I'm growing into every moment.
Thanks, Mom.
Nurture the moment with Minute Maid Delight, now available in apple flavor in the 400ml ready-to-drink pack.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, one of the requirements now is, in case you're leaving home, please don't forget to carry your vaccination card, because according to the vision this morning, that is the new vision, police is to carry out automated, that is checkpoints to ensure that passengers in public transport have vaccination cards and have been vaccinated. So that is very interesting there. Police to do automated spot check starting today. You're leaving home, have that with you. Passengers must carry COVID cards. We are getting there, so please, sure. Then Brides for Christ, well, that is also a story of what happened, having it been, that is over the weekend, where various places of worship were open and functional. Still, President's New Year's message to Ugandans in full. The vision brings you that. Protect your business from leakages. The new vision also hints on that. And cartels want me out of commission, says land boss. Still, the new vision gives you phased school reopening. That is 1 week there, and never know, this could be the job of your lifetime. That is in the new vision offers there, and you can get to know more regarding those. Felix.
And of course, in the Daily Monitor, parents, schools lock horns on tuition fees and public outcry as schools increase fees at free will. Schools that were marking a center most affected. Government releases new reporting dates for learners, and Chambogo admits over 10,000 private scheme. Now, churches confirm more than 280 children into faith, and police desert a man's Entebbe Expressway for 2 years.
Very interesting. How smart or crafty some Ugandans can
Katolu Bwama, pastor, to testify in Bujingo's case. Okay. Wow, that's creepy. But of course, President Museveni, the president of Friday, announced the full reopening of the economy 2 years after large parts of it were officially shut down to curb the spread of COVID-19. Now, Desmond Tutu, the Archbishop, was laid to rest at dawn on Sunday in Cape Town Cathedral, where he once preached against the brutal white minority. And of course, today in history, Bettino Mussolini declares himself dictator of Italy, that is 1925, and US severs diplomatic relations with Cuba.
Back to the new vision, parenting. Help my son is addicted to online games, so that Nyonyintono give you hints on how you can do that. Still, how can a widower help my lazy 15-year-old son? We move to the COVID-19 tracker. New confirmed cases, 1,936. Positivity rate, 23.3%. Coming at death, new death, 5 people have succumbed to COVID. Then death since December 1st to 2021, 50 people. And also we look at now total recovery standard, that is 98,489 people have recovered. So that is the COVID-19 tracker. Today in history, it was on this very date, the 3rd of January, the year 1997, when leadership code became law, and on the same date, the year 1521, Pope excommunicates Martin Luther.
Now in sports, huge carrot, little stick in Ondua case. Lionel Messi tests positive. PSG, the Lionel Messi tested positive for COVID in his club, which announcement came out yesterday. Now Omicron bites baby cricket cranes. World Cup expedition there, and also bodybuilding 2021, year of new championships, and we must restore our trust in the beautiful game that is Seka tower there comes out to say.
In the New Vision Sports, we have bill must follow processes. That is, we'll start with the policy, then the bill. That is from Sports Minister Hamson Obua. But also Obua roots for PE classes. That is physical education in schools and inside the Nations Cup. And remember, we'll have these more in our sports segment there for you.
Now in the Daily Nation, we see a big headline. Parents lament over high prices of school reopening on third term and how fraudsters are with help of rogue bank staff their wipe accounts, and Njonjo, ultimate power broker there, and of course he did let rest now Like, the man who took on Moi breathers, his last and Ruto 6 poll deal with ANC for Kenya.
Well, we also now want to look at some of the feedback that we've gotten regarding our poll question this morning. How can the public embrace full reopening of the economy amidst COVID-19? And we have those that have sent in. Good morning, Robert. I'm Kesho Fred from Sironko District, Director, Stifford High School, Sironko. Well, be back from Christmas and Happy New Year. For whatever happened in that partial reopening, I know bleaching the soaps will be done. Even the officials are now reluctant, and last person remains punished innocently. Ugandans have suffered longer. That is Kesho Frederick. Thank you for being part of Good Morning Uganda. This is Sultan Namutumba. Good morning, Felix. I think the government is making a mistake to reopen the economy at full capacity. I have a view that he would open the country, but in phases. That is his opinion, in phases. And he says the president made a mistake to leave the public vehicles to carry full capacity, because the measures of taking only people who are vaccinated, it is hard. There are some people who are not vaccinated, even here in Namutumba district, and vaccines are not freely available. When it comes to entertainment, we would go digital by online concerts until that is people are fully vaccinated. Thank you for your opinions and views there. Well, we also have good morning, my team. Happy New Year. We've been missing you, Binji. I'm calling the public not to get much excited. That is about the reopening, but better ensure that they are vaccinated and also comply with the standard operating procedures. Finally, when it comes to entertainment, he would go digital. Okay, many are looking at the entertainment sector. There are some of the messages that are coming in, but please keep them coming on our various social media platforms. We want to get your opinion, and of course this will greatly inform many people. You never know, that could be a game changer in the fight against COVID-19. While Mollen is preparing to take us, that is, through weather and nature, for us to better understand what we need to know about our surrounding. Mollen.
Well, when you talk about weather, you look at the fact that we wake up to a different kind of weather every morning. I am telling you, it's hard to find that you're waking up to a day when temperatures are equally the same than what you dealt with yesterday. But also, we always on the road, so even when it is, you know, the same for your home, as you walk towards or move towards another place, it's going to change. But I also want to look at the traffic updates for this morning for you who is moving across the town, and we will start it off with where we see a little bit of traffic this morning, and that is across Mengo Hill Road and also Nsambia Road. Now, if you're looking at that roundabout towards Queensway, that place is really flooded with traffic right now. It's one of those places you would rather avoid if you have a shortcut to get into the city. Now you look at those areas where you see quite the red there coming in from the Mengo Hill Road. It's quite a lot of traffic there, and then, you know, at the roundabout there is just some traffic that is stuck in that deep red color there. But also as you move towards Entebbe Road as well, you look at the fact that that traffic is starting to build up and that is one area that is really slow this morning for you. If you are moving towards the city and you have anywhere else to pass, you might need to take that option. And also you look at that road coming in from Ben Chiwanika Streets, that area as you head towards this place where there is already a lot of traffic towards Entebbe Road as well. That is one you might need to avoid. There is a little bit of traffic there that is starting to build up over there, but quite clear again. You look at the fact that if you take that road towards Entebbe Road, towards Luumu Street, that area is also quite clear right now. But as you head towards Kampala Road, then the traffic starts to build up. So that is one area that is usually caught up with traffic every morning. So Kampala Road, there are places you want to avoid. If you can just move close, just outside that road, you might get into the city safe without having to deal with that traffic. But at least much of it starts to kind of clear. Just a few areas towards the city square, that area is kind of quite, clearing up in terms of traffic. But again, you look at the fact that if you take the shortcuts towards, Nakasero Road, Speak Road, those areas are quite clear for this morning. So that might be one for you to take that option. Also the upper road, that is Buganda Road, that is in green right there, is quite clear with no traffic. So you might need to also take that road and avoid Kampala Road, which is already building up with traffic. And also you look at the upper side, if you're coming into the city center, if you were to take Nakasero Road as well, that area is still quite clear. Lumumba Avenue as well. So if you're coming in from Bombo Road, you might need to channel it off and go through Lumumba Avenue or even Nakasero Road, which is quite clear. You can also use Buganda Road and avoid the traffic on Kampala Road that is already building up right now. You also look at the fact that, at least, as you head towards Wandegea, that side is also starting to clear up. There is no much traffic. But again, you will be dealing with more traffic as you come into the city. So even while the one starting off from Wandegea is quite clear, still you don't want to deal with that traffic as you head towards the city center. But you also look at other roads that are starting to kind of build up with traffic. We have Chagwe Road there. That is one that you can choose to also avoid and take the upper side if you're coming into the city. And most of the areas that are starting to clear up this morning are over most places. But also look at the fact that most of the roundabouts that actually clear every morning, you look at this roundabout towards Speak Road, there is not a lot of traffic. So if you're going to head towards Ginger Road, you might need to also use that roundabout and take your way. Also here, as we look at Nile Avenue close to UBC here, that road is quite clear right now, so it might lead you to Ginger Road. If you're headed for Ginger Road instead of using Kampala Road, you might have to avoid that traffic. But you also look at the fact as it joins that side of Ginger Road as well, it starts to clear up. It's quite clear over there. But then Yusufure, as you also join Yusufure Road, it also starts to clear. There is no traffic over there. So that is also one way to bypass the whole town traffic and you head for Yusufure. So that is it in terms of traffic this morning. And at least I know I have guided you into which roads you can take this morning and avoid the traffic. But well, one thing you might not avoid is the weather that is going on across the country. Now there are areas that are already having rains across much of the country, and we look at mostly the Lake Victoria Basin. We did have a stiff, quite a heavy system that started off earlier tonight, and that was bringing rains especially towards the eastern side of Lake Victoria, where you see the deep red colors. That's a rainy system that was bringing us rains. Also right now it is bringing cloudy conditions. As you can see, it is headed for Kampala, so that is one that will be bringing rains for several places across the central part of Lake Victoria that takes in areas of Kampala. You also look at the western side of Lake Victoria where we have Masaka. That side is also expecting to have rains this morning. But also quite clear is the northern part of the country. You look at those gray colors there, those are open skies. We're still having mostly sunny conditions across most areas within northern Uganda. Now take a look at Karamoja here. It's also in open skies. That means even right now as we speak, they are dealing with sunny conditions. Same for eastern Uganda and also towards the Choga region. That area has been having mostly sunny conditions for most of the mornings, but also today morning is not different. We are starting off with similar conditions. But where we are seeing at least a little bit of clouds
starting to build up is across the central part of the country towards Mubende, Mityana. That area is also starting to develop a little bit of clouds, and those might be also bringing us rains later in the day. But we also have that rainy system that is starting to build up across Lake Albert. So now that might also be bringing us rains, especially for Midwestern Uganda. But we're also looking out for the fact that most of these systems do develop in the afternoon. So we could be looking at more of the rainy conditions coming in across Western Uganda, even for Southwestern. And most of that is starting to advance from Congo, actually. If you look at this system that is over Congo, it's quite a huge system bringing in rains even for Lubutu and Kisangani. That is already having rains there. So it is the system. If you can see how it plays, it's just propagating towards even our area. And I think that is dumping some of those towards southwestern Uganda, parts of Kabale Highlands. And that will definitely be bringing us rains across southwestern part of the country. Now that also coupled with the system that is starting off from Lake Victoria is what is likely to make rains for us this morning, most especially across the southern sector. Now for this time of the year, you'd expect most areas within the country to be dealing with a little bit of dry conditions. But the advantage we have for southwestern Uganda still is the Lake Victoria Basin. Now you look at the fact that most of the moisture is being picked up from the waters of Lake Victoria. Now that favors development of most of these rainy systems, but only a few areas within the southern sector will benefit from that. But you also look at Western Uganda in general. Most of the systems that will be bringing us rains across this area will be coming from Congo, and now that means the proximity of that will only cover a few places across Western Uganda. So that is what is likely to bring us rains across that area. So Northern Uganda, still Karamoja region, not a bit of good news, because we continue to have those dry systems across Northern Uganda, across the northern parts of the continent, and that means that we might be looking at mostly sunny intervals throughout the day, even for the next couple of days. But what is expected this morning, even looking at what the forecast that the Meteorological Authority is giving for this morning, we do expect to have rains at least across the Lake Victoria Basin, across southwestern part of the country, midwestern. You also look at part of the Choga region, which is already developing clouds, and we do expect to have rains over there. But also similar conditions for the afternoon. We might still be dealing with those rains still across the southern sector, a little bit of midwestern, but you can expect to maintain those sunny intervals, and that will be across mostly northern Uganda, parts of Soroti, across the Elgon region as well, parts of Mbale. That area can expect to maintain mostly sunny intervals. Now, most of the rains that do develop even in the afternoon, you look at this system continuing mostly westwards, so you do expect more rains to cover at least much of the western parts of Lake Victoria. That is where we have parts of Sembabule, Rengo, Masaka. That area usually even has rains starting off in the morning, then the same system continues, so it might break a little bit, and those are what we call isolated showers. They start to break, but at the same time you do expect to see them even just a few kilometers after. You will have rains here just a few kilometers after that system. You get rains in another place, but while others remain dry in the same locality. So those are kind of isolated rains, and that's what we're having mostly for this time of the year, because most of these rains are locally influenced. But the good news is that now you're aware, so if these rains are headed your way, please do prepare accordingly, and do expect to have at least a good day, because now if you're prepared, you're able to go through the rain or even the sun knowing that, okay, this is what I expect. Well, I want to leave you at that in terms of weather, and you will be seeing me again tomorrow giving you the same updates. So it's nice to keep up with the weather and know what is going on around you. Well, that is it from me, and I want to wish you a good morning.
The global COVID-19 pandemic led the nation to 2 years of unprecedented learning, disruptions and closures. Now it is the time when the country is getting focused on upcoming school reopening. This is not a time for despair. This is a time to deepen community engagement for safer schools reopening. Rural Broadcasters Owners Association Druba, in partnership with Ministry of Education, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, World of Bingwa, Teacher Talk Magazine and Stanbic Bank will engage parents, learners, teachers, school proprietors through an inclusive National Safe Back to School Symposium. The National SB2S Symposium is a countrywide 3 days of deliberation hosted at UBC and aired simultaneously via radio stations and televisions from Monday 3rd January to Wednesday 5th January 2022 from 11 a.m. to midday. The speakers will include the Minister from Education, Youth and Child Affairs, leaders of teachers' unions, school proprietors, parents and private sector. The speakers will be supported by media personalities to convey messages in different languages as well as igniting conversations customized to geographical and social reach. Do not miss. Let's discuss safe school reopening.
Raising voices.
As a mother, my children depend on me to make this world a safer place for them. I'm not afraid to act when I see violence in the home and in my community. I promise to talk to my neighbors and friends about how we can nurture and protect the children.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Introducing the all-new Roofing's TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend services. Roofing's, strength of a nation.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Tulantende ku program obulamu.
Was brought to you by
Just use MTN to make calls